there's a lot of things that can create ADHD-like symptoms. If you're anxious, if you're stressed,
Of course.
if you have poor gut health, if you are storing trauma, right? If you haven't processed trauma, like symptoms of post-traumatic stress look like ADHD. There are probably a lot of people out there that are having symptoms from something else, and they may not be truly ADHD.
Yeah,
They might be
that's
having
right.
ADHD-like symptoms. So of course, you take the medication, it works.
Yeah.
They go, fuck, I can focus. This is an important distinction too. If you're listening and you feel like you have it out there, it's not something to be cured. It's not something to fix.
It's a superpower.
Yeah, it's
in
not
my
something to
opinion.
change. It's like you should absolutely be accepting of who you are.
I wish the schooling system was more diverse.
Yeah.
Because I think if you put children naturally where they gravitate towards early, like through kindy 1, 2, 3, just merge them into electives.
Yeah.
Not when they're in high school.
Yeah.
At the very beginning. And I
Yeah.
think you're going to have a way different schooling
course.
system. Such
Well, I mean-
different kids. Welcome back to Beyond Your Breath podcast. I am Shani and this is Chris. And today, I want to know why the frig everybody thinks they've got ADHD. Honestly, when we first got together, Chris used to talk about being ADHD and it was constantly saying it. And I'd be like, just stop. You've definitely humbled me in the realm of ADHD and learning about it. And then that has spiked my curiosity over the years to go even deeper into learning about it, which has been really phenomenal. And recently you've had a post that has gone absolutely viral. Your
Yep.
very first viral, like proper viral.
Yeah, there's been a couple.
Yeah.
But one of them absolutely popped off. I
Yeah.
think currently it's sitting at like 500,000 views.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So, in this, of course, you're talking about ADHD.
Yes.
And if anyone is listening or watching and this topic interests you, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with your friends so this message gets out there, because we're going to be a bit controversial, but also I think help people be seen a bit more too.
That's the goal.
So go back. Let's just give a bit of backstory about how you got diagnosed and that stage of your life and how that journey unfolded for you.
Yeah. Cutting a really long story short, I was diagnosed late. So 26, I found out that I had ADHD, and it was really relieving at the time, I will say, to actually have a psychiatrist like sit down with me and to be able to not just say, hey, like here's some medication-based treatments that we can use for it, but also to help me understand why I maybe was the way I was. So I think one of the things that happens with people that have true ADHD is they go through a lot of their life really understanding that their brain might work a little bit differently, but then because of societal norms and structures and the way that the work system, the education system is, they don't really fit into how that really operates. So it creates, it's hard. You wonder why you're different. You mask a lot.
Yeah.
And, you're typically seen as the naughty kid or the class clown or something. So it was really relieving for me to find that out. And I did choose to go on medication. But the caveat to that was I didn't want to go directly to that straight away because I knew that there was a lot of other factors that could probably, contribute towards this. So I did a lot of digging first and a lot of self-inquiry into myself in going, well, there's a lot of things that can create ADHD-like symptoms. If you're anxious, if you're stressed,
Of course.
if you have poor gut health, if you are storing trauma, right? If you haven't processed trauma, like symptoms of post-traumatic stress look like ADHD.
That's right. Yeah.
So I did a lot of work on, I guess, understanding like the fundamentals. Like, am I sleeping well? Am I exercising? Am I eating relatively healthy for the most part of my life?
Yeah.
Am I working on my nervous system? Like, I was doing all of that work at the same time. And what I realized was, in fact, at that point, yep, like there definitely is still a lot of symptoms there.
Yeah.
And so I chose to go down the medication route, and I've been through a couple of different ones, and it's definitely served a purpose in my life. With these things, like, there's definitely pros and cons. There's things that go really well for you on them. There's things that don't. Fortunately for me, compared to, I guess, some of the people that I've spoke to, I had quite minimal side effects, if really any. I slept well, I ate well. So that was good. But, things have shifted for me even again at this point in my life. And I think that there's a lot of things that contribute towards ADHD, and I can't help but feel like it's a little bit of a buzzword at the moment.
It is a buzzword, and something that you mentioned earlier, which we use this terminology a lot, is true ADHD, and you've sort of blazed over it a bit. What do you believe, just for anyone listening? Now, I just want to say we're not scientists.
Nope.
We
are not psychiatrists.
No, no, nothing like that. This is just our beliefs, and you can take what you want from it. And we've just done our own, inquiry, our own research, and through our own personal experiences. When we first got together, Chris was convinced that I was ADHD because I had a lot of gut health issues. I had a lot of things going on, I think, as well, being a woman. I was 34, turning 35. So stepping into that like middle part of my life. And so my hormones were obviously changing and doing a lot of things too, which helped us to learn a lot more about it. And I'm not ADHD. And through learning and doing a lot of gut health things, learning about parasites as well, the way I presented when we met is completely different to now in the way my brain works. So what is, for us, true ADHD, and what would the other side of that mean? Just to paint a bit of a picture.
Great question. ADHD is typically categorized into 3 categories. So the way you might understand or how you might represent when you're assessed is impulsivity is one of the categories. So like they test and ask you questions around, are you impulsive? For me, throughout my life, that looked like drug use. And that was like self-medication. When you start to understand that ADHD brains are searching for dopamine, or the dopamine pathways in the brain don't work like a neurotypical brain, you find ways of getting dopamine. So for me, that was substance use. So there was impulsivity around that. The next category is inattentiveness. So essentially, just tuning out. And the third one is hyperactivity. And that can be physical or mental hyperactivity. This is one of the things that they discovered with women a lot that they didn't get picked up on until later in life, because women were very good at masking the physical hyperactivity, but they would have a lot of mental hyperactivity.
Of course.
And one of the key characteristics of female ADHD is a lot of anxiety when they're not treated.
Yeah.
So there's these 3 categories, right? And if you have a mix of all, and they call you combined. So essentially that's the way that they go through it. And I think that there are certain people that they have good upbringings, they eat well, they sleep well, they take care of themselves, they're health conscious, they do all the right things, they have quite manageable stress levels in their life, and then they notice that there's still these things there that
would come down to like their genes then, right? So
this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because there's this argument that ADHD is biological.
Yes.
The psychiatric community are convinced there's genes for it. And then on the other side of the fence, there's people who research it and they're like, there's no gene tie to it. So then there's the nature versus nurture thing going on.
I believe both exist.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What fascinates me though is I have met people that have grown up in loving homes where, no one gets away with not having any trauma.
Of course.
But they haven't said, like, they haven't had very traumatic events happening in their life. And, I'm not saying big T, little t. I'm not saying that there's one bigger than the other.
Of course.
But what I'm getting at is these people reported having beautiful upbringings, having loving families, not having a lot of chaos, a lot of dysfunction, and they've grown up with ADHD. And on the other side of the fence, I look at people like myself and I'm like, this is very interesting for me because my upbringing was very chaotic.
Very turbulent.
Yeah. So I think I could absolutely see the link between tuning out and, dissociating to a degree and impulsivity and all these things and being hyperactive because of the environment that I was growing up with. So I think what it really comes down to, and it's really hard in this space because you never want to discredit or you never want to invalidate someone.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are probably a lot of people out there that are having symptoms from something else and they may not be truly ADHD.
Yeah,
they might be having ADHD-like symptoms. So of course, you take the medication, it works.
Yeah.
They go, fuck, I can focus. If you got parasites in your gut ruining your dopamine production, then you take dexamphetamine, you're going to be out of focus.
Of course.
So like naturally people see the surface and they're like, it works. I must be ADHD. I can focus now. Yes, man. Like you take a stimulant, you will focus.
I literally because I have obviously in our history attempted to go down the path of exploring if I'm ADHD, and I've tried a couple of medications which ultimately didn't work for me. I didn't feel good in my body, and I'm very connected to my body. I understand when I do and don't feel good. And then I did a gut protocol. I had 2 parasites, killed those 2 parasites, and since then I have like the most incredible brain function I've had in a very, very, very long time. And so it's like there is those parts where it's like there are external, internal factors that will present as symptoms that are like ADHD. And I also go like, there are so many people who are being diagnosed and going on medication, but not actually getting to the root cause as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's complex.
It's so complex.
It's a lot easier to take a assessment with a psychiatrist, answer a few questions. Okay, you basically meet the criteria.
Yeah.
So here you go, treatment, and you get the treatment and it's effective. They absolutely work.
It's the Band-Aid.
Yeah, and the thing with ADHD as well is it's not going anywhere.
No.
It's not something, and this is an important distinction too. If you're listening and you feel like you have it out there, it's not something to be cured. It's not something to fix.
It's a superpower.
Yeah, it's not something
opinion.
to change. It's like you should absolutely be accepting of who you are.
Yes.
The treatment is to manage symptoms so that you can go about your life in a way that you need to.
It's like if you're impulsive and you might do the binge eating or you might do the binge spending.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know how to stop this. There is just something in me that pushes me towards it.
Yeah.
And then, maybe you go down the path of getting diagnosed. Then you take this medication. All of a sudden,
You have the
you're
control.
not binging in whatever binge direction you go. It's like there's a different level of it.
Yeah. Which can be really positive for someone's self-esteem if they've tried a lot of different like behavioral therapies and it's like, well, I'm just going to change the way I operate. But then you keep meeting this brick wall because your neurochemistry is off.
Yeah.
So there's this like drive in you to continuously seek dopamine.
Yeah.
And you get it in unhealthy ways. So it can absolutely be a game changer. And I've seen it turn so many people's lives around. And it did turn my life around a lot.
Yeah.
But it is a very nuanced conversation and, proof in like that post going off. I talk about ADHD a lot because, it was in my family. It's a big part of my story and that whole diagnosis. It's a big reason why I went into breathwork.
We get a lot of ADHD people people who are diagnosed in our trainings because breathwork does naturally bring people in from that lens as well, So we do see a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's it's such a nuanced conversation, but I think because it's easy to get probably a diagnosis and, just start that journey rather than maybe dig a bit deeper and get some deeper answers before deciding that.
I think both get to exist, like if you want to put the Band-Aid on to give yourself some relief whilst you're exploring the deeper questions. And that leads me to asking you this question now, Christopher. Where are you now with your diagnosis and your medication history?
the lowest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like the lowest I've been since I started
Yeah.
meds. And I went up pretty high at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And now, God, I'm on very minimal. You know, my journey started on Ritalin, and then I made a switch to Vyvanse after getting some headaches after being on it for like a couple of years, and switched to Vyvanse. And you were in my life at the time of that.
Yeah.
That was a really positive shift
I
in
sat down with you and I was like, I think it might be your meds, because I was noticing a
Yeah,
correlation with the
headaches.
patterning of it. And I was like, when you were doing your top up
Yeah.
in the afternoons, then your headaches started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the switch to Vyvanse happened, and that was just a really amazing change in general in just how I was personality wise. ADHD meds very much focus you in. And naturally what it can do is sometimes just make you a little bit more internal because you're focused, right? Like you're really dialed in. But I found with Vyvanse, like whilst I could do that, I didn't lose that part of me completely.
Yeah.
It's like I still maintained that extrovertedness.
It was such a change. I remember it. It was like the version I got of you in the morning and the afternoon when your meds had worn off or you hadn't taken them yet. So like the truest version of you, when you went on Vyvanse, that stayed the same.
Yeah.
But when you were on Ritalin, you changed in the day.
Yeah.
And that was like huge. I was like, wow, this is so much better.
Yeah.
And now that you're off Vyvanse, you don't take Vyvanse anymore. You're on a low dose, and you now feel even more you. But you're also not. I say zoomed weeby is the word I use, but you're not like all over the place in every direction all the time. Like you can channel into what you're doing. You can hyper focus.
Yeah.
And obviously you have your days, but I think that's also just part of being human, and there's acceptance in that too. It's like if you're 80% of the time fantastic and on the ball and 20% of the time you get down on yourself, no, that's normal. Like that is so freaking normal. We're humans. We're not meant to be going 24/7. But that was the biggest part that I had noticed with the change from the Ritalin to the Vyvanse to you now.
Yeah.
Is just that like you're so just you in your emotional capacity and the way that you regulate yourself is so phenomenal now. Like your emotional capacity on Ritalin, it was like you were up and down and in and out, and you were a lot more like avoidant. You know, you wouldn't speak as much, and there's so many amazing changes I have seen in you in the evolution of your diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, I still utilize medication every now and then, but I just focus on a short acting now, and it's a very like low dose. It's kind of as needed, and you know I have my morning coffee now, and then I just use maybe one or two a day max, which is like such a decrease.
Yeah.
And I use it based on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now too, it depends on the type of work. Because I definitely still notice that I can get like quite distracted. Like it's just definitely a thing. But it's nice to be at that point now, and I think that also comes down to doing a lot of work on gut health as well. I've been doing a protocol on that. I also found out I had parasites, which, you know, our great friend Dan was like, you know, this does create ADHD-like symptoms. So did a lot of work on the gut, which has absolutely made a difference.
Huge difference.
Absolutely made a difference. In fact, you know, I took Vyvanse a couple of days ago for the first time in a while.
To trial, yeah.
And, you know, whilst there's definitely pros to it, it's like, you know, I felt good when it started. I was very productive, blah, blah, blah. I got to the end of my day and I was just like, I'm fucking wired. Like I'm so...
And you had a shit sleep too.
What I've noticed is I'm actually really... I used to have this like crazy tolerance, and now I'm very sensitive to these things. You know?
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't even that heavy of a dose of Vyvanse either.
No, not at all.
But I was like, I got to the end of the day and I'm like, I'm fucking wired. Like I'm still wired. And it's that commitment of like, I'm in this for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I don't like anymore.
Well, I think this comes back to that part of being human. I just, me personally, I don't agree with the longer acting for that purpose. And I can't speak for every person. This is just my personal opinion. As a human being, we're not meant to be doing constantly for 12 hours every single day. You're going to burn out. You know, your brain is going to be absolutely fried. And so, yeah, I don't know what the answer is to get around that, but I know a
I
lot of
think
people, it helps a lot of people too. So again, that's just my own personal thing.
I used to prefer it because it was a lot smoother.
Of course.
And there's not this, like, with fast acting, it's not like this.
Yeah,
Picks you up quick and then it's down. Whereas, like,
course.
using Vyvanse, for example, was a lot smoother. It was longer. And if you have to consider people who are very forgetful with ADHD, they don't have to remember to take their meds.
Yeah.
They take it once. And then that's it.
Yes.
And it helps them and supports them the whole day.
Whole day, yeah.
And it is a slow release. So it all depends on the person, I suppose. But I think really circling back, what I am, I guess, a little bit curious about when it comes to, like, society right now is everyone just believing that they have ADHD because they just get a little bit forgetful sometimes, or it's this or it's
Yes.
that. It's like there are certain characteristics that every single human being experiences. It's the amount that you experience it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I forgot my keys. Everyone forgets their
Everyone
keys.
forgets their keys.
But do you forget your keys every day, multiple times a day?
Yeah.
Everyone tunes out when they're having a conversation if they're not interested. But do
Absolutely.
you tune out multiple times to the point where you're distracted by everything around you?
And then layering in the gut health side,
Yeah.
like, have you always been like this your whole life from day one, or is this just started?
Well, that
Is
was one of the things with me.
Yeah,
And it's one of the things that they look for in your diagnosis is they want your report cards.
of course.
And they look back because they do. I guess I'm of the belief that, yes, potentially, you know, the medical route, they're a little bit too quick to hand out medications. But I also believe it's still in their best interest to make sure that they're handing them out
course.
to the right people.
Do you know what, with the school thing, and this is just, again, my personal opinion, looking back on school cards, I also believe that there is accuracy and also inaccuracy. Because going back on my report cards, I didn't get the best grades because it was always like if she applied herself better. But then if you go over each subject, I only got that with math. Still to this day, I hate math.
Yeah.
Don't want to know about it. Not interested.
Yeah.
Unless I'm counting money.
Yeah.
Or learning about the banking and taxes. But if it was like storytelling in English, through the roof.
Yeah.
Fully applied. And so I also go back and I wonder, like, if they look at the report cards and there's like an overall view, and maybe you're probably shit at half the subjects because you're just simply not interested in them. And they're trying to fit kids into this box, this one shoe that fits all, but that's just not how we are. And so I also sit back and I question, like, looking back on report cards, is that even accurate towards a diagnosis also? Because it's like, well, if you were fantastic in 3 subjects but crap in all the others, you probably just weren't interested.
Yeah.
Or we just don't know. It's such a nuanced, layered conversation. And so my wish with this is that when people do go down the route of diagnosis, they do the bloods, they do the gut tests, as well as all the other things.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned before, totally okay to put the Band-Aid on so long as you're also exploring the deeper causes too.
Yeah.
And like with your journey, trialing different things. Don't just take one prescription and go, well, this is it for me, even if it doesn't feel right. Or you notice something changed, like have the conversations and look into it.
Absolutely. 100%.
I want to know, Chris, so we've explored what ADHD is. We've given our individual beliefs on it and all the things. Breathwork significantly changed your life, especially with ADHD and your nervous system. Why? How does it support neurodiversity?
How do I do this without going full geek mode?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try my best.
ChatGPT, please explain this to a 10-year-old.
If we look at the brain in general, we have our frontal lobes, which are responsible for focus, attention, impulse control, these things. And this is typically the part of the brain that ADHDers have a little bit of a spicy way of operating. Yeah. And you can actually see this on brain scans and all sorts of things, right? That it's the part of the brain that isn't firing and wiring the way a neurotypical brain if that's even a fucking thing.
Yeah, I don't think a neurotypical brain
Yeah,
exists, and
yeah.
I don't want it to.
No.
Some of the best entrepreneurs in the world are neurodivergent.
Yeah, they are.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, but it's, I look at the way the brain works and I'm like, okay, well, there's a few ingredients that you need in order to make a frontal lobe of the brain work. The first thing that you need enough dopamine and you need enough norepinephrine, which is adrenaline. And these are two of the things that ADHD medications affect. They essentially stop the reuptake of dopamine. They don't necessarily create more of it. And this is what's really important to know. They don't create more of it. They stop the reuptake of it.
Yeah.
And this actually is why taking care of your nutrition and stuff is really important, because the meds will only be able to keep what's there.
Yeah.
Whereas you need these building blocks through food and nutrition, all these things to
Sleep
actually to create the production so that the meds can hold it in the brain for longer before it flushes out. So you need dopamine, you need norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, and you need a little bit of these things to focus, just enough, not too much, just enough. Outside of that, you also need oxygen to the frontal lobes of the brain as well. Now, one of the things that breathing does in particular is when you understand how it works and when you understand how terrible overbreathing is for your cognitive function and stress and all these things, once you learn the tool of actually working with your breathing, regulating your breathing, learning how to breathe slower, lighter, softer, through this, you're able to deliver more oxygen to the frontal lobes of your brain. What we see a lot with people that come into our world and clients that we've worked with is if someone is experiencing trauma, if they have ADHD, if they have these sorts of things, there's a common link between breathing dysfunction as well. Their nervous systems are running faster. When a nervous system is running faster, breathing is naturally running faster too, which means that we're losing quite a lot of carbon dioxide out of our exhales. And that plays a really important role in driving the oxygen into our cells anyway. So if you think about it, right, nervous system running too fast, breathing dysregulation, not enough dopamine in the brain, not enough adrenaline in the brain, we've got this concoction of things that makes it really fucking hard to sit still and focus, right? Because we're not actually like giving the inputs that we need for the output. So then people end up frustrated.
Of course.
They want the output, but they don't have the right inputs. And unfortunately, you know, we're in a quick fix society, so we reach for things quickly that help. And you know what? I get it. You want to fix. And when you don't know what to do, you grab the next closest best thing.
Yeah.
And that's why some people turn to drugs. And that's why some people overstimulate themselves on coffee. And they don't really know how to get there. They just know where they want to be.
Of course.
But there's that gap.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times the gap in that is understanding your physiology, is understanding your health, it's understanding how your brain works, and it's understanding how focus actually works as well. The interesting thing about ADHD is they call it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Yeah.
ADHDers have no fucking problem focusing.
That is like the
None.
thing that always got me is like they call it disorder. And I'm like, well,
It's not even the
It's not-
disorder
it's
part,
not even
it's the
that.
deficit.
I know.
Attention deficit.
Yeah. Tell that to, what's his name? Elon Musk, because he is ADHD.
There's
so many
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah.
minds in the world who have diagnosed ADHD.
Yeah. It's not an attention issue. My psychiatrist said this to me. He goes, Chris, ADHDers have no problem focusing. It's an attention regulation issue. They can't regulate their attention across things that they actually need to in their life. A neurotypical brain, they can focus on things that they don't really want to focus on that much. ADHDers, it's like a death sentence. It's like, I'm not going to focus. And it creates a lot of issues in their life because they end up burying their heads in the sand on the things that they don't want to do that still need to be done,
I see that happen in our house.
that are still important.
Between half of our household.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like that and I don't want to look at that, or that makes me anxious, so I'm going to avoid it.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I
matter.
see you do this all the time.
And it's out of sight, out of mind. This is another
Yeah.
thing with ADHDers too. Time and, what's the word for it? Object permanence.
Yes, yeah.
We learn this as infants. One of the most important developmental leaps that we learn as infants is when our parents leave the room, they're not gone forever.
Yes.
But when an infant first sees their parents leave the room and they haven't got to that stage of development, they don't know whether they're coming back.
Yeah.
And this is where attachment gets really tricky
Uh-huh.
because they don't yet know. They don't yet have object permanence. They don't yet understand, well, if my mum leaves the room to go and have a pee, I'm not abandoned.
I'm pretty sure the dogs live like this their whole lives.
Yeah, because they don't have frontal lobes. They don't have object permanence.
I could go to the toilet and they'll follow me. And
Yeah.
if I walk out the front, if I'm gone for 5 minutes or
Yes.
5 hours, same response every time I get home.
There's this constant need to know that you're not gone.
Yeah.
And so this is where attachment drives from a lot in the
course,
early
yeah.
stages. Like I need my caregiver there, right?
Yeah.
So the thing with ADHD is that in a way, like it flips it on its head and we have this like out of sight, out of mindness. And this happens to me all the time. It's like, if it ain't there, I'll forget.
All the time, yeah. Yeah.
Like it doesn't.
Like literally between our house,
Yeah.
you, Abby and Ava,
Yeah.
the three of you, you all do the same thing like that. Whereas George and I are quite funny.
Completely
We'll
different.
pick up on things all the time.
Exactly.
Remember things, do things. Whereas
Whereas
so
though,
funny.
the insane sides of this is like we're forgetful, but our memory is sharp.
Sharp. Oh yeah.
Like picture clear.
Yeah. You got photographic memory, so.
Because when we're focused, we're not a little bit focused. We're insanely
focused.
like it's hard to turn it off.
This is why I wish the schooling system was more diverse.
Yeah.
Because I think if you put children naturally where they gravitate towards early, like through kindy 1, 2, 3, just merge them into electives.
Yeah.
Not when they're in high school.
Yeah.
At the very beginning. And I
Yeah.
think you're going to have a way different schooling
Course.
system. Such
Well, I mean,
different kids.
You and I didn't like maths, and to this day, we have not needed maths beyond calculating on my iPhone
Yeah.
to create a successful life.
And it's a world of AI and having a calculator in our pocket 24/7.
Yeah.
We just don't need it. Like
They wouldn't have known that back then, obviously, you know.
they wouldn't have, but they don't upgrade the system.
That's
now.
right, yeah. And so, you know, I do believe that too. I'm like, kids are getting put into spaces where they don't
want to fit.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be like an adult, if you're listening, like being placed into a role or like just absolutely fucking hating your job every day because it's like not you.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing about it that lights you up at all. But you just got to like persevere. Actually, unfortunately, that's probably like 80% of society.
A lot of people obviously do live like that, but I also go, well, of course they do.
Yeah.
Look at how we're brought up.
course.
Look at what we're taught at schools. We're taught to fit into a mold that isn't ours.
Yeah.
We're not taught to go outside the box.
Yeah.
That's a skill that hopefully most of us gather as we get older.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Because the posts that have been going off really well on my social media have been talking about, you know, what people think are trauma responses, but are actually sometimes ADHD responses.
Yes.
I just want to say, from personal experience, I have been in relationships in the past that have really made it hard for me not to want to either hide or overcompensate. And a lot of the times when I reflect back, before I really knew I was like properly diagnosed or ADHD, there would be like these repetitive comments of like, you never listen to me. You never listen to me, and you never this and you never that, and you always this and you always that. And they all sort of marry up to like ADHD symptoms. And I remember at the time just being like, I feel like I'm trying really hard. It's like I'll be the first one to admit when I'm not in the right. Like if I've been a dick, I've been a dick. If I haven't listened to you, I haven't listened to you. But there's been so many times where I felt like that was quite damaging to my self-esteem.
Of course, yeah.
And I think a lot of the times like that leads to dysfunction in relationships too.
100%.
You know, if you are someone who's neurotypical and you do end up dating an ADHDer, there are going to be some things that you notice and you, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, that you'll have to live with on a daily basis. And I think when I observe our relationship, there would be things that you have had to come to accept about me and not necessarily like hound me for or shame me for or anything like that. So, because we talk about this on these posts, how is it to date someone or like to be with someone that has it? And like, what are the things that you notice in me that you've really had to go, I'm just going to have to accept that
Yeah.
because that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to make peace with that.
Me 10 years ago, I'm 37 next month, which is wild. So me maybe even be, I'm going to say 15 years ago, early 20s, would answer this so friggin' differently to me now. Because me back then would get so upset with and nag, you know, ladies who nag. I see you. Like, it's not, I don't want to shame people for nagging and saying it's a bad thing. No, we're just feeling something and we're getting loud about it.
Yeah.
But what I've come to realize with a lot of work and a lot of development is when you enter into a relationship, you basically spend the first 2 years getting to know each other. The honeymoon does not just disappear after a couple of months. You are spending years getting to know that person. And I say that confidently because in 2 years, even in 2 years, you don't experience a lot of life hardships. We, luckily, unluckily, got to experience some hard stuff at the very beginning. So, like, a lot of the curtains got pulled back very quickly. But, you know, like, you don't experience death and trauma and, you know, hardships going through parenting and all those things usually for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So it does take a while to learn behaviors that you do and don't like. However, in dating, the best pieces of advice I could give anyone at the beginning is to just lay all your shit bare at the very beginning. Everything you know about yourself. Every, you know, like when I get triggered, I fight like this. I push back about that. If you know those things about yourself, tell them.
Yeah.
Because that's going to help you to understand each other more and make an educated, not emotional, educated decision on whether this is the right person for your life. And being okay to be uncomfortable, to take dating a little bit differently. Not, oh, this feels good. Oh, the sex is great. Let's go for it. And then 6 years later, you're fucked because you haven't actually had the big conversations. So the thing that we did differently was from the very beginning, before we even went on a first date, we had hard conversations and we spoke about things that, you know, I straight up asked you if you wanted a third child, because if you didn't and it was a hard no, we would never have worked out, because I definitely want one child of my own. And on our first date, we spent 14 hours together and it was a beautiful day. And we talked about everything. You told me about your past. You told me about ADHD. I told you about my beliefs around ADHD.
I was like, this is going to be juicy.
Yeah, right. But we had those discussions. And I think that above all things is so important. So I just wanted to pre-frame that before.
So you would say, like, before it was even like dating someone that has ADHD, it's like the foundational conversations of like, learn who they are first.
Yes.
Yeah. Have the cards on the table.
Yes.
And essentially just be more open rather than just trying to hide it, right?
And decide for your life. Like I say this all the time, like have your negotiables and non-negotiables. You know, people talk about writing the man list or your partner list and having all the qualities that you want. Yes, of course. But have you thought about your non-negotiables? Like your absolute no's. And so getting into the relationship with Chris, it was like, oh, he talked about ADHD. He had ADHD, he's medicated. I had pretty strong views at the time about it, but that wasn't non-negotiable for me because it's psychological and I love psychology. I love the brain. I love mindset. And so for me, it was like, well, I do have strong views on this, but I am willing to change those views. I'm willing to be curious.
Yeah.
This is something that is negotiable for me.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you had to come to me and be like, I'm a smoker and I'm never going to quit, I'd be like, out the door.
No,
That's hard.
That's a hard no for me too.
Non-negotiable.
No.
Out the door.
Could never.
No, right? And so this is where it's like, have your negotiables and non-negotiables in life. And so because you're going to cohabitate with this person for your life, you're gonna piss each other off. You're gonna have annoying habits. You're gonna have things that are just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like when are they gonna get it? But you need to decide on whether those things are things that you want to deal with for the rest of your life or not. One of the things is like when Chris was more medicated, particularly more on Ritalin than the Vyvanse, Chris was a little less emotionally attentive. And there were times where I sat back and I'm like, I'm a very emotional creature. And whilst I don't expect him to manage my emotions, I'm very responsible for my own emotions. I just want him to be aware of them
Yeah.
and to navigate them well with me.
Yeah.
And there were times where that really got challenged and I was like, fuck, is this actually what I want? Like, but then there would be the beautiful moments. Luckily, medication only lasts for a day. And it would be those morning moments and those evening moments where I'm like, this isn't him, you know? And then when you change to the Vyvanse, I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
huge difference. And so again, that curiosity to be open to what this journey unfolds for us. And I always say in relationship, if you can approach every hardship, every yucky feeling, every argument with curiosity as opposed to defense, you're going to have a different relationship.
Yeah.
And so navigating someone who is more neurospicy than me is very curious to me, because I go like, well, how can I love communication. I think if I wasn't going to do what I do, I would probably be like learning more about communication and being like a master communicator, because I do love language and communication. And so for me, I always go in my relationship, I'm like, well, he's not hearing me when I do it like this, so maybe I'll try it like that. And
Which is a sign of a good communicator. It's not.
Yeah.
There's so much strength. I think we spoke about this the other day. I'm like, being a good communicator is also recognizing that the way you're saying it isn't landing and
yes.
changing the way you say it.
It's not about the external, what the other person is interpreting from you. It's also about how you are saying
100%.
it and how you're putting it out there. And it's like, well, they're not hearing it the way I'm hearing it, so I'm going to try it like this.
Yeah.
And so for me, like recently, I think we were joking about this yesterday, with Chris, when it comes to money, if I want to buy something that's like big and extravagant and spending a lot of money, I can't just come to Chris and go, hey, I'm going to go buy this, because he'll be like, what the fuck for? Like, what do we need that for? Whereas if I come to him and I've got like a full negotiation ready to go of like, this is why it serves us. This is why it's needed in this way.
She basically pitches me.
I pitch him. That's right. And so it's like, it's learning how to communicate to people in a way that's going to inspire them or make them curious instead of defensive.
Yeah.
And that also takes time in relationship too. And there's a lot of trial and error.
Hell yeah.
Hell
yeah.
You're always going to be an evolution of that, because as well, women particularly go through 3 very different stages in life, and we're different women all the time, and monthly, absolutely, daily, depending on the time of the month.
Yeah.
And so it's like learning to be okay to be curious and to learn.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest thing. And so, yeah, me when I was younger, I didn't have the emotional maturity to handle a relationship that didn't have the operations that I had. Now I'm like, well, I mean, half our household is pretty much the same anyway, so it's pretty easy now. But it's, yeah, just finding what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and recognizing that the things that piss you off all the time, you're still okay with them. They're just pissing you off, and that's up to you to manage.
Yeah.
It's not up to the partner or the child to manage. You know, that is your responsibility to manage that. And so, yeah, I think there's like acceptance in that, but I think just be freaking clear with what you're okay to accept for your life, and remember that you choose to accept that for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. I'm sure that will be super helpful for some people out there, because the amount of people getting diagnosed with ADHD at the moment, you're probably likely to find one.
I even had someone tell me that I would get a positive diagnosis, and I'm like, like, it's just,
Yeah.
no.
No, I think it's important, and I just want to say from like my side, like it has been very healing to be able to not have to feel like I have to hide that, and have the anxiety around hiding that.
Yeah.
And I also think it's part that, like part having the space too, but it's also been my growth as a human being and being like, this is just fucking me. Like, I'm done trying to not be that. And that's
more
just
people
it.
need to be like that too. Like, and thank you for helping me work through the curiosity that I had. Because, you know, you educated me through it too. And that was huge for me.
Well, a lot of the things that I think probably people get upset with when it comes to people who do have ADHD, it's really important to remember that, you know, so much of it is absolutely not intentional.
Of course.
And what I do notice a lot as a common theme between people that do have it is they are very sensitive souls at their core. Like they actually feel very deeply.
Yeah.
And they're normally very wired to know what right and wrong is. And they're normally very wired to give a lot of a shit about the things that they care about. Like one thing I can guarantee you is, ADHDers, if you are with an ADHDer and they have stuck with you, that means that they absolutely love your guts because they're so driven for dopamine. If you weren't it for them, they'd try to go fuck and date everything else.
Absolutely.
They would cheat, they would date, like that. And I've seen this in people who don't have awareness of themselves at the ADHD as well. They're looking for the next thing, and that might be sex, that might be this, it might be that.
Yeah.
So they can't help themselves but to jump because nothing's ever good enough. It's got to be
Yeah.
the next thing rather than realizing that the work is worth it where you put it in.
That's right.
And so what I also know is that, looking at the people in our household who have it, looking at the people I know who have it, is they're actually quite deep creatures.
Absolutely.
They are. They're very, very committed creatures to the things that they love. And so there's a really beautiful side to it too, that if you do give them the space to be them, and though there's boundaries.
Yeah.
There's boundaries.
Well, I think I look at like you and I, like I give you all the space to go forth
Yeah.
and do what you want to do. And like, look at where we are. It friggin' pays off. But there have absolutely been times where I'm like, hey,
we need to balance
we
the
need
scales.
to balance the scales.
Yeah, 100%. And that's just that's the boundary piece.
Yeah.
And that's up to me then to go, yeah, it's very easy to forget that anyone else exists in my world. Doesn't mean I don't love you all.
Of course.
Just means I don't fucking remember. The other day I didn't even eat lunch.
You didn't. I know.
It was so crazy. Shani walks in the office and she's like, dude, no wonder you feel dysregulated. Like your lunch is still in the microwave. I'm like, oh yeah. I didn't feel like that.
Important to remember to eat.
So it's out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
But this has been a good episode. Is there anything that you'd like to top this off with? I think we wanted to create this one just because, it's trending, right? It's everywhere, and it's so multifaceted. And this is one of the things that we love about breathwork so much. We've also seen people come and shed years of trauma out of their system through the work that we teach, and it has either significantly reduced their symptoms, or sometimes they don't tend to have ADHD anymore, which brings them more to the awareness that maybe they never did.
Of course.
And maybe it was purely just the nervous system running on high alert. Exactly. And environmental. So I feel like we've covered off a lot there and we could probably go all day, but how do you want to sign it off?
I think I would just love to encourage people that if they are experiencing symptoms to, explore your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that your mind is not disconnected from your heart. Your gut is not disconnected from your mind. Your genitals are not disconnected from your mind. Every single part of your body is connected.
Mm-hmm.
And so if one system is out of order, then most systems will follow suit, which is where ADHD symptoms come. Yep. Because one system has gone out and the other systems are throwing off signals, right? So if you are experiencing the signals going off, whatever it is for you, you'll know. Look at the whole body. Yeah. Look at the whole switchboard and figure out what flicks need to be turned back on, what switches need to be turned back on.
And if you haven't tried breathwork yet,
absolutely,
it is fast, it is effective. Don't just take my word for it. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to drop a link in the description here in the show notes for a free 15-minute session that you can get. Yeah. Absolutely no expectation of anything in return other than you actually download it and you try it. That's all we ask for. Yes. And if it works for you, flick us a message because it's this stuff that helps. There are days where I take meds and I still get stressed and I still get frazzled, but understanding your physiology, your nervous system, and how breathing relates to that has been easily the most important thing that I've had to learn about my human experience so far.
Learning about the nervous system and, like I say, everything is connected. And the one thing that I have learned about the nervous system particularly is it connects all the systems together. Yeah. It is like the master switchboard. Yep. And so if you look at your gut health, what happens when you regulate, you go into rest and digest. Keyword, digest. Your digestion gets better.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. And just have some inner inquiry of yourself. If you are feeling dysregulated or you are experiencing symptoms, go inquire, go, what have I done today? Did I eat properly? Have I drunk enough water?
Yeah.
Have I sat in front of a screen all day and haven't put my feet in the grass and got some sunlight?
Yeah.
Just have some awareness and some inner inquiry, and just remember that all the systems connect to everything.
Love it.
Yay.
If you liked, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Subscribe, share it. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Even flick us a message on Instagram.
Yeah.
We love to hear from you guys.
We do.
We love to know what's landing for you. It helps us get inspiration on what to bring to the next episode. So thanks for being with us today.
Bye.